ready when you want to go.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to call this public hearing on the shared services plan to order on November 24th at 5:05. Let me give you the phone number in case the public would like to call in. The number is 315-294-8051. The shared services plan is a county-wide plan that we are required to complete every year and submit to the state. All 57 counties will develop a plan for 2021. The panel is chaired by the CEO or the chair of the legislature in each county. That person is responsible for developing and submitting the plan to the state. The panel is comprised of the chair of the legislature, the mayors, and town supervisors. They all serve on the panel, and in Cayuga County, there would be 33 of them. The shared services plan is a state mandate. Counties are required to submit a plan every year until at least 2021. We're required to convene at least 2 panel meetings each year. The panel then votes to approve a new plan or update a plan. If the panel does not approve the plan that's been proposed, a statement of why the panel didn't approve it, and individual membership votes and explanations are required to be submitted. The shared services plan for 2021 requires that there be formalized written agreements between municipalities in order for them to qualify as shared services projects. The services do not need to be county-wide. The plan must include a certification of savings. The state will match funds that are documented in the first year of the plan's implementation. The plan must be submitted to the state on or before December 31st, 2020. Eligible plan projects would be new shared services or existing informal shared services that are formalized in writing. They must be implemented during 2021 to be counted. Written agreements are the key to this. The county will actually prepare some sample agreements the municipalities can use to help formalize some of the shared services that they are already performing. The first year savings from a shared services between 2 or more participating local government entities will qualify as a savings. Some examples of projects would be shared equipment. This would maybe avoid rental and labor costs. Shared services could help to avoid some professional fees incurred by municipalities. And joint purchasing, cost savings from lower prices of buying things in bulk. The legislature's role in shared services plan. Presentation of the shared services plan is made to the county legislatures. The legislature then reviews the projects and certifies tax savings projections. The legislature may issue an advisory report with recommendations by a majority vote. The chairman of the legislature may then modify the plan to reflect the recommendations or not do so. For the 2020 shared services plan, we have 6 projects that are going to be included in the plan. The first project is a joint salt purchase. This purchase is between Cayuga County and Onondaga County. Cayuga County is joining Onondaga County in the bid for salt for the year commencing in 2021. The county will sign an agreement to do this purchasing with Onondaga County. We're estimating $100,000 in savings from this joint purchase. Second project is a fuel purchase from the county highway department. This project would be between the county and the respective towns and villages that purchase their gas through the highway department. Agreements will be written up between the municipalities for us to sell them gas. This is actually a practice that has been happening, but it was never formalized. By doing this, we hope to have a savings of $100,000 compared to if these municipalities had to purchase their gas directly from a seller, and they really don't have anywhere to store it. So that means a lot of times they would be going to the pump, where the price is definitely higher than what the municipality is able to purchase it from directly. The third project is multi-county bid sharing. This project is between Cayuga County and Onondaga County. This is an ongoing exploration that's going on between Cayuga and Onondaga County for bidding together on various items or piggybacking off of each other's respective bids. The savings for this project between buying items by ourselves compared to buying them as a group would be the shared services savings. We're hoping to have a savings of $20,000 for this in next year. We already have explored purchasing some, or should I say, leasing some copiers off of a bid that Onondaga County had, and that should result in some savings to the county. The fourth project is shared equipment and operators in the highway departments. This project is between Cayuga County and various towns and villages in the city of Auburn. We would like to have some formal MOUs written up for the sharing of the highway equipment and laborers to help run the equipment. This should save money for municipalities. Instead of having to rent out the equipment, we can borrow it from each other at a much cheaper cost, and we're hoping this could save us at least $40,000 in 1 year. The fifth project is county technical assistance and grant writing. This is also between the county and various towns and villages. The county planning department often assists in writing grant applications and comprehensive plans for municipalities. They are able to provide this service at a cheaper cost than people can get it if they have to buy it in the open market. So if this opportunity arises in next year, we will track the savings and submit that to the state. The sixth project is Medicare Advantage premium savings. This is a new project between the county and the city of Auburn. We are both members of the health consortium that provides the health care for our employees and retirees. And this was a joint effort to go out to bid to get some lower prices for Medicare Advantage plans. And this will result in some savings for both of the municipalities. And we will be submitting that to the plan. That would be all of the shared services plan that we are providing for 2020. We have had one panel meeting so far with the towns and villages in the city of Auburn. The next meeting will be planned for later in December, where a vote will be taken on the plan, and the plan will subsequently be submitted to New York State. As I said before, the phone number, if you would like to call in, is 315-294-8051.
Hey, Amanda.
Yeah, it's here.
Hey, what's up?
How long do we keep it open for?
Did you already present everything, Lynn?
Yes.
And nobody's calling?
No.
I mean, I don't know the rules on like a shared services thing, but I feel like if nobody's called, then
Yeah, I think we just have
the
to be,
public has spoken their piece.
exactly, we advertised it, we presented it, that's their opportunity.
Yeah, and this is on YouTube that you presented it, so there'll be obviously future ones that if people really do have input, but this one can be closed for now.
Okay. Perfect. So
Okay.
that's all set. Yeah, because anyways, if people need to, they can always just call their representatives. That's my plug for the ledge
There you
right
go.
there.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, is YouTube streaming right now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just checking. How you doing, Brittany?
Good. So far, so good. How are you?
That owl thing was on mute. Sorry. And we're still streaming. I gotta remember that.
Oh, is there a way that if I end the stream for that part, but then reopen it, or is that not possible?
You know, I'm not entirely sure. So I guess we wouldn't want to do it.
I know that I can take it off the 8x8, but I don't, if I think it won't actually work.
Yeah. All right. We'll just be silent.
It's more of when other people first log in.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And I have yet to figure out that if I wondered if I muted it in here, that it would mute on YouTube, but I don't know if that's how that's correlated or not.
Oh, I wonder. Let me grab my phone.
Okay. And we'll test it out.
Okay, you want to test it out?
Yeah.
Were you talking, Brittany? I think it does mute it on YouTube, but there's a little bit of a delay on my phone. Like it took like at least 15 seconds.
Were you talking, Brittany?
So I guess it does mute you, but it won't mute the rest of the people.
Okay. Good
'Cause
to know.
I heard myself afterwards because there's a delay going.
As soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, I'm gonna let everybody know.
Brittany, are you there?
Yes,
How's things tonight?
it's going good. How are you?
Wonderful.
Good.
Hey, Tim.
Is this Mr. Chairman Foley?
Yes, it was nice to see you at the post office the other day.
I'm glad that you use the federal services.
It's really nice to hear all your voices again.
Sorta.
Sorta.
Kind of like the reunion tour.
Are you missing everyone, Paul?
Yeah, I'm getting holiday spirit, I'm just.
Oh, okay. The kinder, gentler side of you.
Hi, Paul Pinkney.
Hello there, Miss McNabb. How are you?
Great.
All right.
We're
It's
on-
nice to see you.
yeah, we are live on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
I think, let's see here.
We have everybody but Trish Kerr I can see right now.
No.
I know she's coming on. She was just
She just
got out
popped
of it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me know when she gets on, and then we'll kind of get
She's
started.
on.
Okay,
She's on.
great.
Am
I
I
don't.
a full member of this board in good standing or no?
I mean, you're always welcome at Govt, Timmy. But yes, you are on the committee too.
Oh, okay.
All right. So with that said, let's get the meeting started. It's 5:30. Government operations. I'll call the meeting to order. We have all present, as far as I can tell, and we have minutes to approve from November. I'll take a motion for those.
Move it.
Moved by Pinkney, seconded by
Petrus.
Petrus. All right, nice to hear your voice, Petrus.
too.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
All opposed? All right, carried. I don't know if Cheryl and Kate are on. Are they? Okay, I don't see them on. Does anyone have questions for them? Their report was actually, kind of lengthy. I did actually have a question about that, about their something in the report.
I thought Katie was planning on getting on.
You thought Kate was planning on getting on?
Yes, yep.
Okay. Well, then we'll move on and wait for her and go from there. So next up is Sheila Smith, Amanda Morgan.
Just a reminder that January 5th, Tuesday, 2021 will be the reorg meeting. That's it.
January what?
5th.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, January
Now,
at 6 p.m. Reorg.
are we, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
are we going to have a full staff of legislators at that meeting?
Normally do.
Yeah.
We have a couple.
Normally do.
We have a vacancy, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, the legislators that are on the board should be there, I would assume.
Well, shouldn't we fill that position? I mean, that's a heavily weighted position.
I mean, I'm not sure. This is just establishing that the reorganization meeting is the day and that time, Timmy. I'm not sure about filling the position that night. That's, a different topic. I don't disagree with you.
I've always said that maybe we should make the, if we're cutting different positions, maybe we should cut some positions on the ledge too. So maybe we should reorganize the number of legislators.
Okay. All
I
right,
think
great.
Process to be
Ryan?
discussed on the road.
Yeah.
Right. Says that she's having trouble with the link. It's not able to connect.
That's Kate.
Yep.
Okay. So
I don't
Can
know
she-
if I don't know.
Maybe she can try to call in. Maybe
Yeah,
try the call-in number.
have her call in. I know that. Let's see here. Let's see what the number is. Maybe we can get it for her real quick while we have her. I have the number if you want to pass it along. Someone wants to pass it along, and
I
can do
will.
that. Okay, so that is 1-209-844-4600, and then we have a passcode that I'll text to you, Elaine.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's a public meeting. I think you can probably text it or just tell her.
Well, I don't know. The way that it works is I think that there's a separate public line. Brittany, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so probably can ask through the YouTube, is from my recollection.
Okay, so let me just get this out and then we'll wrap up.
Cybersecurity.
Timmy, you're on the money tonight, huh?
I wish I had some. I wish I had your money.
Attaboy. Okay. All right. So that's sent. And any other questions for Sheila or Amanda? All right. Hearing none. Thank you, Amanda. Next up is Chris Palermo, County Attorney's Office.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have anything out of the ordinary to report. We've been handling the JDs. We've been, pushing through contracts and resolutions, doing what we can for the budget procedure. That's been about it.
Okay. Any questions for
Chairman?
Yeah, Timmy.
Yeah, I had one for Chris. Mr. Palermo, I think we had a discussion the other day, and I think there was an email sent out in regards to the workers' compensation program was 5% less than last year, and there was a rate guarantee of 2 years. I think that went out to everybody, didn't it?
That particular email, I don't believe it did.
Oh, no?
No, and insurance is ways and means.
Okay, and I had a short conversation with the Madam Chairman, and indicated that cybersecurity should be purchased also.
Correct. I believe Mr. Borneman's filled out the questionnaire. We do have some premium quotes, and again, those would fall under the Ways and Means Committee, so they'll be likely presented there.
Well, before we get hacked, I'd like to, sometimes Madam Chairman had indicated that her email was somehow disrupted.
Okay.
I even got an email saying to call her.
Great.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Any questions for the county attorney's office? Chris, I do have one for you that we'll address later, but for GO4, there was no contract uploaded with that. I know that was a question, so we'll kind of go over that when we get there, but just kind of maybe be thinking about it and go from there.
Certainly.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for your report. Next up is Sue Dwyer. Is she on?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to let you guys know that I just checked my email and I see that she sent a report, the county clerk that is, sent a report at 5:19. So if people are interested, her report it arrived at 5:19 and it is in your email.
Okay, great.
I am on too. Can you hear me?
Sorry.
Okay, so Sue, why don't you go for it?
Yep. So Usually our reports for this meeting are kept to a minimum. I see there's some long ones on there, probably because of the extra activity. But I always feel like from now on, I think instead of saying I have no report, I'm going to put a link on there so you get right to my report. I think that would be better. I just want to bring up that we reorganized our staffs for our 4 departments. So if somebody gets sick in our office, the whole office doesn't get shut down. So we're working half from home, half at work in the office. And I know Aileen asked for a report about what we're doing, and it's included in my monthly report for December. It goes into detail what we're doing. Again, we're really busy. As you saw the newspaper this weekend, on Sunday, there were 2 pages of real property transfers. Of course, that goes through our office, and we had another record month of land documents that we took care of. The same with court papers. So we've been really, really busy in the recording office as well as the DMV. And the other 2 offices are operating just as they should. The historian's office doesn't see the public, but they're doing things online, so that works out for them. I do want to make notice that I signed today a paper with the 7th Judicial District Judge, the administrative judge, Craig Doran, that the county clerk's office will no longer just be optional e-filing Supreme Court papers. We're going to start it's going to be mandatory e-filing starting mid-January, whenever the judge and everybody gets the paperwork together. We've been planning this for a long time. We have to notify the Bar Association. And so that's going to go through. That will help the county, less paper, easier access, and also, the attorneys, local attorneys, and attorneys from across the state who file with us, it'd be a lot easier for them to do that. So that's a big step. We're really happy getting rid of a lot of paper. I think that's about it. We're still meeting with the Dreams Project. We made a presentation last month, and if anybody has any questions, let me know. And as I said, if you go to the county clerk's webpage, look under reports, you'll see every month reports, and you'll get all the numbers that you might be looking for.
Right.
Does anybody have any questions?
I did see that Keith had his hand up.
Yes, thank you. I guess did Chris said that you sent an email with a report attached, Sue?
Yes.
Okay. I think that may have only gone to the committee members.
Yes, it did. Yes.
Okay.
I'll extend that to the entire legislature.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah. And I know some of the conversations that we've had over this past year in regards to Sue's report has been, how to include it on the agenda in its full form, but it could take up a lot of space too. So maybe just bullet points and then, the link on there to the full report. And she was accommodating to that and thought it was a good idea. So it sounds like what we're going for. All right. Any other questions for Sue before we move on?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, Timmy.
The physical operation, the historian's office is now going to be used during the cold weather for maybe some other operations. And physically, as I'd like not to see the general public who pays the taxes not standing out in the cold. Are we physically being able to handle the volume of traffic down in the front lobby?
To the best of my knowledge, yes. I think Aileen might have more details on it, but I haven't heard otherwise. I know they've been working on it for months and months and have come up with some plans. So that's the last I had heard on it.
Thank God we had a pretty good summer.
Go ahead, Sue.
I just want to say, I know I wasn't here, I'm home this week, although I'm in the office at the present time. But I do want to say, I think the solution was a good one. It wasn't, it's not easy, but it was a good one because I don't see a crowd of people in the lobby. I don't see a crowd of people outside. I think people are getting the message that they need to, make an appointment. And it took a while. It was a transition. So I think it's working okay. I haven't heard it. And the security guards are doing an awesome job.
All right, great. Yeah, I know that there were a lot of people involved with that DSS, the DMV, Sue, Aileen, Lisa. I see Lisa has her hand raised, but I want to emphasize that there were a lot of individuals that worked together to come up with the plan on how to handle the front of the building and the traffic through the wintertime so that people aren't out there cold. And I think it was a really impressive effort, certainly by those individuals. So Lisa, you are up. I saw you.
Okay, yes, I just wanted to add to what Sue Dwyer said, that we're also have part of the historians area set up for DSS to meet people, as well as 2 office spaces available for people that are in emergency needs, and with Sue's group that are doing the appointments and also being able to hand out information to those that can be called. We've been trying through all of our efforts of everybody that you mentioned to make sure that there isn't a line outside as much as possible, moving forward, to be able to handle them at both locations without increasing the public throughout the building, especially with the increases in COVID cases. It's been a wonderful joint effort.
It really has. And I know that the health department was in on there too, and they were stellar and very helpful during that time period. So, all right. Any other questions before we move on for Sue? All right. Hearing none. Sue, thank you so much. And next up, we actually do have Kate. Are you on? Kate Lacey. I did hear that you might be on. Let's see what we got here. Are you muted? Brittany, is she on for you or no?
There's a phone number that's on here, but I don't know. There's 2 wireless callers, but I don't know who's who.
Yeah. And Ryan, I don't remember. How do you unmute if you call in? You might share that. I don't remember either.
I think it's *6. Mm-hmm. You got to press *6 on your phone. Okay, well, we can go on while she's working through that. We do have IT that we can go on with. So, Paul, you are up.
Okay, hello there. Thank you. I don't really have any special things to report this time. I just, in my monthly report to the committee, I just shared some achievements from this year that IT has completed. We went through and looked at, what had we done, what was unusual about this year, certainly. We certainly worked a lot to get people working remotely, getting the 8x8 rolled out. And I know remote work has got some challenges, and certainly, things like this are challenging. But, appreciate everyone's help and support in getting things working. And hopefully we're in a better position to have better flexibility and provide the county with be able to work from home or work from different locations and work in a different way. So as we go into next year, we're going to be continuing that road as long as we need to. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. Be happy to help address anything or answer any questions.
Any questions?
Chairman, I have a question.
Yeah, Tim.
As I mentioned earlier, I did have a slight conversation with Madam Chairman in regards to cybersecurity and purchasing a policy, and she had indicated that you had offered up some kind of guarantee or insurance in regards to if we do get hacked, that we were reimbursed by some company or something.
It's not I, no.
Okay.
So the cyber insurance, the way it works is that there's a premium that you have to pay. You have to buy that policy, and that policy has some requirements. So what they do is they assess our current cybersecurity stance, and if they have any holes or concerns, we need to address them in order for that policy to be effective. Otherwise, we're paying for a policy we can't use. But if we are hacked, then or breached, or we lose data, then the cyber insurance policy helps pay fines, and again, the insurance policy would then address any kind of coverage of costs that are associated with that up to a certain amount. And again, I'm not an expert in cyber liability insurance, but I've seen a number of policies, and I work with lots of folks on them. So again, we have to first pass their assessment, and then we have to maintain our systems in a way that meets that policy's requirements in order for the policy to be effective.
Paul, I have Aileen that wishes to speak.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, just in response to Tim's message here. So I just shared the fact that we already have a level of insurance against cybersecurity. And I also want to say that, my email was hacked. So a message was sent out that I was either in need or I wanted people to buy gift cards. But I will say Tim was the first one to reach out to call me to see if I needed help in reality. So I appreciate that, Tim. And then after he reached out, we were able to discuss some of these items. And of course, we hear about this all over, our state about ransomware and all of that. So I was assuring him there was a level of insurance there, and whether or not we need more is something to be discussed.
Sure. And if you don't mind, just to be clear, you actually weren't hacked. It was really just spoofed. So what happened is somebody's pretending to be you that wasn't you. So you weren't compromised in your personal email, and you weren't compromised in your work email. So it came from your personal email, but it wasn't really even your personal email. So it was a total fraud thing. It was just trying to get people to respond, click on the and open the link. Okay. So you can feel pretty comfortable that you weren't hacked. But and again, IT would love to be happy to help you check your accounts and things. But that was a personal account, or it was a Gmail account. It wasn't a county thing. And we do monitor for that kind of situation in the county systems, of course.
Sure.
Right.
Mr. Foley, I'd like to respond to that if I could.
Yeah.
I mean, I work in the insurance field. It's some of you might know, and cyber security is a costly and probably going to increase. So if we have a premium that's reasonable, we should probably use it because maybe in the next couple of years you might not be able to even buy one or afford one. So it's not that you're not going to get hacked. It's just when are you going to get hacked?
Wow, sounds like something I would say. Thank you.
Tim's on top of it. All right. Is there any other questions? Yes. Go.
Hey, I just wanted to say, I think your head was turned. I think Sue Dwyer had her hand raised.
Oh, okay. Sue.
There we go. I just want to say, Paul and his team, I don't know what we would do without them. Every single one of my departments depends on him and his team getting us set up at home. And everybody has different needs. And then multiply that by all the departments. And what they're doing is nothing short of amazing, because it's going to keep all of our staff safe. It's going to keep the customers safe. And his team has done a great job. And every day, if there's a little thing we've got to tweak, he does it. He works with our vendor. I can't say enough. And you know, when you don't have a good person, you would know. We've got a good person, and I'm really, I've just got to give him a lot of thanks.
Well, Sue, thank you. But it's really not me. It's really the team. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sue, for that, that discussion. Any other comments, questions for IT or Paul? Just for a heads up, we did have an IT steering committee meeting, and Paul made us aware of a few things that are going on, specifically for like Microsoft operations. There's potential in 2022 to have an additional cost for Microsoft to the county between $200,000 and $300,000. He's currently working on trying to mitigate that with purchasing, and it's just something to be aware of. And I think that it's something that it gets brought up at that level. It's not here yet, but it could be at a certain point in the future. And just to kind of, keep your thoughts on that, if you have any questions. And then secondly is Munis, the county's payroll system. It has other applications, but that's one of them, is having some integration issues, support issues, and Mary Beth and Paul are both working on those to resolve them. I guess it's on Munis's end, and we contract out with them for our services. So it's being handled, but it is something to just think about and be aware of anyway. Other than that, I don't see any other questions for Paul. I appreciate you. And I believe we have Kate on at the moment. Kate, are you on?
I think I am.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
All right. Yeah, I'm real high tech.
That's okay. You're here now. That's all that counts.
Yeah, I just want to say, Katie, I just want to say we're laughing with you.
Right, exactly.
Well, the link didn't work. I've never done it with the phone. Never done this with the phone before.
All right. So
anyway, somebody has a question. Is that the thing?
Well, we read your report, and we didn't have any questions at the moment. I don't know if you want to present it still, or if you just want to field questions. I know that one that I had specifically, you put in there that the state mandated actions and the virus kind of blew up the budget a little bit and increased your expenses, which exceeded the budget, and maybe just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, actually, Cheryl and I did a budget review today with the year to date, and we have actually we were kind of pleasantly surprised. We're not as far over budget as we thought we were. We've covered our expenses with grant money on most of the mandated extra expenses. The biggest hole in our budget, as far as trying to match up expenses with what was originally budgeted, is going to end up being in the people that we had to hire to take care of the absentee ballots, the absentee applications that came in, and then the mailing expenses for the primary and the general election. But we've looked at the budget, and we had some decreases in expenses also. We had budgeted for 2 primaries. There was only 1. We were fortunate to get a couple of grants that has offset a lot of the extra expenses. We did have to buy some fairly expensive equipment to deal with the absentee ballot counting, to try to expedite the counting of absentee ballots, and it saved us a lot of time, and it saved us a lot of expense actually. And we are close to having a good idea of where we are budget wise. We had overtime expenses that are a little bit over budget, but not, it's not as huge as we thought it was going to be, and we did have some flexibility because we had grant money available. So I don't think it's going to be a huge a huge dip into any funds to balance it out. We do have some grant money that we can move around and try to pick up some of it. So if you have specific questions, I can probably come up with a quick answer.
Yeah. Any questions for Kate?
Yeah, Tim, Kate, the software that we use in the machines, is that the one that's in question nationally?
We had an email letter from Dominion, which is the company that we use for the software for our voting machines. Most of the questions that have come up have been in the state of Georgia, which purchased all new machines statewide. And it's not the same machine we use, but it is the same company, it's the same software. There was an editorial in the Wall Street Journal that was an op-ed that was written by the president of the company, which gives a pretty good explanation of why the coverage of Dominion and the problems with their voting machine is totally, it just debunks all of the charges. There have been accusations that it's programmed out of the country and that votes are counted in Germany and the machines are made in China, and all kinds of things. It's an American company. He refutes all of the arguments. It's not the same machine we use. It is the same company. They adhere to a national program of checking cybersecurity and all kinds of requirements. And you have to remember that we have 100% paper ballots. So if there's any discrepancy, if there's any question about a count, we don't have the same company for tabulating absentee ballots, for example. If we ever had a question of whether or not our Dominion machines were accurate, we could run them through the Clear Ballot machine, which is a totally different program, and cross-check the results, which is the way we did our audit. We audited the machines after election, randomly selected a couple of machines, ran the ballots through, all of the ballots that were cast in a district, and it checked out 100%. There was no discrepancy. So we're confident in the machines. Cheryl and I have hand counted machine totals. We've hand counted the ballots for an entire town. We've never found a vote difference. So we're confident in the.
I was hoping that you came up with a discrepancy, and that's why I lost.
Well, we have a lot of theories on why you lost,
that was supposed
but
to be
that's not
funny.
one of them. That's not one of them.
Okay. Wow. All right. So I have Keith has his hand raised. Keith.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Katie, not you may not have any more of insight or crystal ball than the rest of us, but what I'm wondering, given the fact that there is additional cost, is what is or do you have any insight into whether or not it's likely that the absentee ballot, um, the the ability will be extended to November of 2021?
All of the legislative proposals that have come out that people have been talking about adjusting after this election, all of them have suggested an expansion of the absentee voting, trying to make it easier. The object is to try to get it easier for people to vote, to increase the number of people participating, and to speed up the counting process. Our problem with the counting of ballots was more severe than adjusting to the additional people who filed absentees. As absentee ballots came in, we had a bipartisan group, a team of people, in every case, check the signatures. And then after the election, we get to the counting process, and a raft of lawyers come in, and they start complaining about signatures. They tossed out, or they challenged almost 400 absentee ballots in Cayuga County, and most of those challenges were to signatures. Now, if we're going to check the signatures when they come in by mail, and we're going to decide whether or not they're good signatures, and it's a bipartisan decision, there has to be some control over what can be challenged in the counting process. The reason we counted our last ballots today, we got to count the last absentee ballots today, which is 1 month after the election. If we ever had a situation where New York State was in some way a deciding factor in a national or even a statewide election, this process would be the laughingstock. And it's because we have this arcane election law that has been taken over, excuse me, but by lawyers. It is absolutely ridiculous, and we should be able to count earlier. We should be able to verify signatures within the office, and we shouldn't be giving so much credibility or so much latitude to the after election challenges, because it just raises questions about the legitimacy which shouldn't even be there.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Kate? All right, Kate. Thank you for all of your work.
I think that all of you should just take note of the fact that we probably had the highest turnout in Cayuga County that we've ever had for an election. Between Cheryl and myself, we've been there a pretty long time, and it's the highest percentage. It's over 75% turnout in the election, and neither of us have been there for a higher turnout. So, we actually are pretty relieved at how smoothly it went.
Yeah. It was incredible when I went for early voting. There were people waiting in line, and it was flowing so smoothly. And I haven't heard many complaints about it, even though you indeed served more people than you have ever for voting. So it's a huge accomplishment. I have Trish that wishes to speak. Trish?
Hi, Katie.
Hello.
Just a quick question. You said 75% turnout. Is that of registered voters?
It's
that you
75%
saw
of,
this?
it was actually 76.8% of active voters. It's slightly under 75% if you count the inactive voters. We have
Okay.
our registry, it's 48, we have 48,028 or something like that of active voters. And if you add in the inactives, we're just over 50,000. So it makes that much difference.
And what is the difference in the definition there?
It's people who, well, the inactive would be people who have not voted in 2 federal elections, and we have gotten a card back that says that they are not at their address, and on election day some of them show up. So apparently the post office doesn't know they're there.
And then what percentage of eligible voters would you say, or individuals that are eligible to register?
We wouldn't. That'd be a guess. That'd be a guess from looking at census numbers, and I wouldn't even venture a guess there.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
So, Mr. Chairman, Katie, now when you say inactive, does that mean Fort Hill Cemetery?
No,
Some
of those are active. Some of those are active, Tim.
I thought Miss Harriet voted for me last time.
I think she probably did.
She's a Republican.
Okay. All right. Any other comments, questions for Kate before we move on? Kate, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And great job. Next up, we do have the Veterans Office, and we do have 4 resolutions after that to tackle. So we'll start with the Veterans Office. Is Lindsay on or Jessica's? Brittany, are they on, either one of those?
If they're not the wireless caller, then no.
Okay, great. Let's just move on to resolutions then. Geo 1, 2, and 3. I'll take a. They're on your screen. Geo 1 is to fix the time, date, and place of the reorganization meeting. Again, that's January 5th of 2021 at 6 p.m. Geo 2 designating the newspapers, and then that we publish notices in, and then Geo 3 is to designating December 10th as the date to annex tax warrant. I'll take a motion for those.
Motion by Tally, all 3.
Second,
Motion
Petrus.
to bundle by second by Petrus. Any discussion? Okay, if not, all in favor.
Before we vote, just real quick, is there a paper of record for the southern part of the county, or there must not be if it's not in this resolution? I'm just curious about that.
If I can chime in on that, community newspaper was our southern, but they're actually shutting down as of January.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I do remember that. Pinkney, did you have a question before we vote?
Oh.
Okay. All right. If not, any other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
All right. Okay, I guess Tim, that was in opposition, Tim?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Last one is GO4. And that is to, and my screen just went blank. One moment here. That was the master services agreement between Cayuga County and Entree Computer Services. And this extends our contract with Entree to provide IT services for 2021 to the county. So I'll take a motion for this resolution. Anyone want a motion for this?
Motion by Tally.
Motion
Second.
by Tally. I'll second. Second Petrus. Okay, great. Any discussions for this? I know that I've had a few questions come in that the contract needed to be attached. And I'll let Chris Palermo kind of talk about that more. I think he inserted language that said upon form may be approved by the county attorney. I'll let him clarify. Chris Palermo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Am I, let me see if I'm not muted. Okay.
No, I can hear you.
What we're authorizing, hopefully tonight, is what's called the Master Services Agreement. The Master Services Agreement is sort of like the overarching contract between Entree and Cayuga County. It's not specific to any project or task. It contemplates that there will be future documents called a statement of work, which in those documents, it'll delineate what the deliverables are. You know, it'd be a project basis, on a project by project basis. It sets out the cost per hour for various services. You know, hypothetically, if we had some, like as Paul mentioned, you know, we're looking at perhaps a cyber security insurance policy. If they need to bring in cybersecurity experts, that would be one price. If we just want to update everybody's desktop to a newer version of Windows, probably take a less experienced technician. It'd be a lower cost per hour there. But each one of those projects that gets assigned to Entree is done through, it's like a mini contract, a subcontract called the statement of work that applies to the general terms of the Master Services Agreement. So at the present time, the Master Services Agreement, of course, has expired. So we're looking to renew that. And that gets us in the position to continue with whatever services that we feel we need from Entree.
Okay, great. So with that explanation, are there any questions for GO4?
I have a few questions, Ryan.
Yeah, go for it, Trish.
Chris, I'm wondering, is there a dollar amount associated with this, or at what point do we look at a dollar amount?
Statement of work.
In the statement of work? Okay. Do those statements come back to the legislature for approval, or how does that work?
Palermo, you're muted.
Sorry about that. The answer to your question was yes. So, for example, if a department requested a specific project and contacted IT, then theoretically Paul would come back to the committee and say, okay, here's what I've got. Here's the statement of work that's involved. Here's the costs that it's going to be. And then the committee either votes it up or down whether or not to give the chair the authorization to sign that statement of work.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions? Trish, I don't know if you have more, but I'll ask for other questions from others before we get on to your second one, if you have another one. All right. Seeing none, Trish, did you have another one, or you're all set?
I'm all set, Ryan.
Okay, great. So hearing no further,
Ryan, may I ask?
Yeah.
Keith, I'm not in the
Yeah,
committee. I wanted to wait till all the committee people had gone. But is there a base cost for this? I understand the the add-ons, but am I just missing it? I don't see any base cost for the kind of the foundation services that are going to be
No,
contracted.
not in the master services agreement. And I'm looking at it, the one we're contemplating here at the moment, just to give you the headings of the paragraphs, states they're an independent contractor. It sets out the term of the agreement, how to cancel the agreement, employment terms, confidentiality, which is a big deal. They promise they're not going to try to hire away our employees. We don't do that to them,
Right.
Unless it's on mutual agreement. We reserve the right to, veto the selection of their staff that is going to be working with the county. And these would apply, Keith, to any statement of work.
Right.
Accounting records, time records, insurance, their insurance policies, terms of payment, not the amount, but, that they're net 30 from date of invoice, date of receipt of invoice.
Okay.
It's like the boilerplate parts of the contract.
Right.
So the state.
Right, I'm with you. I do understand that. So this is this kind of the structure upon which the specifics of the work to be done will be built.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. That was not clear to me, but it is now. Thanks.
All right. So, Chris, does this actually renew the contract then for 2021 for them and update the master services agreement?
It really is. It's the old contract expired. In my view, this is a new master services agreement, even though it looks like the old one is similar, been a few changes, but I wouldn't say it's a renewal. This is just another master services agreement. It's the next one. I don't mean to get caught up on the minor detail of a renewal versus a new contract, but.
Well, right. But I mean, their contract expires the end of this month, and what the resolution says is that the legislature is hereby authorized to direct to renew the contract with Entree for January 2021 to December 21, as well as it says to update the master services agreement. I just want to be clear on what we're getting here.
It should say enter into an agreement with Entree in their master services agreement. It's not like we're extending the old one. It's a new one where, we'll sign a brand new, it'll be currently dated. We're not going to rely on the old contract. We have a master services agreement and it's new.
Okay. All right.
So if there was a motion to change the word renew to enter into a, that would be sufficient. Or if nobody objects, we can just fix that. I think that may have come from an old resolution when we actually did renew one, if I'm not mistaken.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that?
Yeah, go for it.
Chris, there's the master services agreement, and then that will inform future scopes of work. Is there an additional contract that beyond scopes of work that we're going to be looking at in the future? Okay.
I guess it depends on. Well, it depends on what kinds of things the board wants to accomplish. If there were, let's say you decided you wanted to undertake a project, and Entree says, okay, we can handle components A, B, and not C. C, you're going to need to contract with another vendor. Then there might very well be other contracts. But with Entree, the idea is that here's the general overriding terms for all the work that Entree is going to do for us. And as those project specific agreements come about, those will be prepared in those statements of work. And honestly, I mean, there's really nothing that would prohibit the county from, in a statement of work, saying, and with respect to paragraph 12 of the master services agreement, that shall read something different for the terms of this scope of work. But it's just an easier way to kind of not have these huge contracts for every single thing we do.
Okay.
Okay. Do we need an
Any other
amendment on this?
If nobody objects, I'll just change it before the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take that as a friendly amendment.
Okay.
Before wait. Any other questions?
All the questions.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. All opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Tim is opposed, with the rest being in favor. All right. I don't see that Lindsay or Jessica got on. So is there any other business to come before the committee?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Motion by Chris Petrus. I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everybody. HHS is next. And everyone have a good night.
You too, man. Everybody have a good night. Go get him, Chairman Daly.
I'll make you proud. I'm.
Elena, are we supposed to stay on this line?
Yes, Tim, you are, because you're on this committee also.
Yes, dear.
And all we're waiting for, I think, is Mike Didio, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, there he is. Okay, great. If we have no objections, then maybe we can call the Health and Human Services Committee to order.
Yes, please. I have a
I'll
meeting I have to go to at 7.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the November 9th minutes?
Nightingale, move.
Yes.
Tim, second. All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
All right, great. You'll see on the agenda, we have 4 appointments and 5 resolutions. We have 2 appointments to the Community Services Board. Both are reappointments, Sheriff Schenk, Camille Johnson. And then there's the Alcohol and Substance Abuse Subcommittee, Jerry Weiss and Arena Halter from CAP. Unless there's any questions, I'd like to get a motion to approve those appointments.
Kerr, motion.
Okay.
Nightingale, second.
Okay, great. Thank you. I can, I'll go through the resolutions if you don't mind. And then if there's any questions, we can go from there. I see Brenda's on and Kathleen's on. Potentially, I bet Ray might be on, but the first is the Office for the Aging resolution to authorize the director of OFA to sign contracts with various subcontractors. These are the 2021 subcontracts using the funds that Office for the Aging gets. You can see there's a number of services in here. A lot of them are aid service, some are legal, some's nutritionist, but these are, I believe, routine contracts that we move every year. So if I could get in motion for HH1.
Nightingale, move it.
Move it.
Okay, second. Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Okay. The HH2 is, and I did a little investigating just to make sure I was clear, is really asking us to adjust the hourly rate of the non-bargaining peer counselor positions in the health department in the WIC program. If we pass this resolution, we'll be changing in the comp plan the hourly rate from $12.23 to $12.50, which is the minimum.
Batman, I move that.
Nightingale, I second.
Okay, any opposed or all in favor? Okay. And Health and Human Services, I did, we can talk when we have the reports if we want, but Ray did send some information about the Northwoods implementation and the impact it had on the department. I did send that around. This resolution will allow us to enter into a contract with Northwoods for the provision of the software solution at the annual cost of $120,000. And unless I'm mistaken, when we entered into this Northwoods agreement, we did for a period of time commit to this annual cost. And I'm not sure if we're in year 3 of Northwoods or not, but this is my understanding is an annual cost that was part of the contract that we signed. They're actually maintaining for the Traverse software. Could I get a motion for this? So we can.
Nightingale, move it.
Okay. Is there any questions about this resolution?
Madam Chair,
Yes?
is the software working throughout the county? I mean, do we have dead spots where it doesn't work, or is it 100% live no matter where our people are?
Elaine, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Ray.
So this allows us, this is a mobile application, so the staff that works in the field has access to not just the state systems that we have to put the work in, but also it manages the expensive files that go along with the state applications, stuff that we used to keep in paper. It's been very helpful, not just very helpful. It would have been impossible to be able to go remote, the child welfare staff, and the amount of time it saves them and the efficiencies that this has built into the system has really been a game changer. And I think we spent, I don't know, got to be close to 3 years talking to the legislature about this, or the Health and Human Services Committee, and really working through the numbers. And this was part of the overall discussion. So this is the maintenance agreement that allows us to continue to use the software, have it upgraded, and all of that. So the application, whether it's in the office, right, or in the field, in the
Oh my God,
that
no.
people are using, has been it's just been great.
Now noticed.
Great.
Well, Ray, I mean, I agree that the software is helpful, but I just want to know whether it's live, no matter where our people are. I think isn't there some kind of a safety device on that software where if our people are in trouble, they can notify?
You mean ask for help?
Yes.
Tim, are you talking about a connection problem in terms of dead spots?
Yeah, I just wonder whether from stem to stern, whether or not our people are connected when they're working.
So that's two things. So the first thing is the record keeping, the availability and access to the forms, evaluations, court orders, complaints, hotlines. That's all in the software. We have procedures that sort of, like, we know when people are in the field, we know when they're going, they have cell phones, they have a way to communicate to their supervisors. So that's a whole system. Doesn't do safety stuff. Our policies and practices are what sort of do the best that we can to ensure worker safety is out there. They're very connected from a technology standpoint, both in their phones and in the tablets that they use.
Ray, the questions I had gotten from some of the committee members were, is this a new cost? No, this was part of the original agreement that we made with them for a period of time, correct?
Yeah, Grace costed this out for a few years, so this was all part of the discussion, understanding that these were going to be recurring costs like all software applications.
Right. Okay. Any other questions about this resolution?
Chairwoman, I think Legislator Batman has his hand up.
I'm sorry, Keith. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and that's kind of my question, but I want to be very clear. I thought the information was sent was very good. I really appreciated it. I couldn't agree more. The timing of this was perfect with COVID. But my question is that it's kind of my understanding and memory that they agreed, the Northwoods people agreed to spread the cost of the initial implementation over several years. I just want to confirm that this $120,000 is not an annual cost that we're going to incur year after year after year, but is part of that initial build up plus the yearly fee. Is that correct, or do I remember incorrectly?
So I think you're remembering it. I'm not sure that. That spreading out of the cost ended up being over the first couple of years of the rollout and the implementation. So we were able to stretch out the stand up of it over a couple of years. I think that's we're past that part now and into the annual cost that we're part of Grace's projection. I can find out for you. I just don't know off the top of my head, but I think that that part of that work, you're right. Like that was part of it, was like, how can we stretch it out over the first couple of years? And I think that we've done that. But let me check and get that.
That's great. And that's if you could let me know, I'd appreciate it. Yep. I certainly am going to support this. So thanks.
Yep.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second on this?
We do. We were in discussion, so we're ready to vote, I think.
I didn't know. Oh, okay then. All in favor of HH3?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. HH4 is to fill a human service examiner position in the daycare unit of social services. This appears to be the filling of a budgeted vacancy, and the resolution indicates the staff is reimbursed at 62%. The daycare program itself has 100% funds attached to it. So if we pass this resolution, it would be to fill a current position that is now vacated.
Nightingale, move it.
Second, Kerr.
Okay. Any questions? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. And the last HH5 is to authorize the Director of Community Services to fill a Supervisor of Protective Services position in the Department of Social Services. And Ray can answer any other questions, but this pretty much in my mind completes the services, the reorganization of services that has been an ongoing plan all year. The last phase would be replace the Director of Services with which is a non-union position, with the second grade A supervisor. We already filled one grade A already. And the discussion was that when the current Director of Services was ready to retire, which is indicating here that that's the case at the end of the year, that position would be unfunded and that the funds would be directed into this newly created position and the position would be the Supervisor of Child Protective and Adult Services. Can I get a motion for H5?
Kerr, second.
Okay, any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, all right. Those are the resolutions for tonight. Brenda's on if there's nothing on her report, but if there's anything you want to discuss tonight.
Actually, Elaine, before we move away from DSS and mental health, I just wanted to ask a general question, or I guess it's a request. Not for tonight. I know these things can be difficult coming up out of nowhere, but one of the things I noticed is the comment about the 730 restoration cost. So when someone a defendant needs to be deemed competent to that, it's gone from 50% to 100%. It's a real issue. my question is this: I participated in a NICEX webinar fairly recently, and some counties apparently are encouraging their judges to use an Article 9, which has a person committed for not just the restoration but actually for treatment. That then becomes the cost of the state and not of localities. And so that my question is, and again, not for tonight. I don't want to get into but I think if we can get some report on whether or not that's possible in Cayuga County, where there's some kind of educational or communication with our judges, might have an impact on this, because as Ray points out in his report, this is a huge potential cost, huge. So that was just a comment I wanted to make and a request for kind of future discussion. Thank you.
Okay.
Elaine?
Yeah.
Just to piggyback off of that, I was wondering if Ray could just take a minute to explain that, because I think it is important and potentially huge cost to the county. Can we just get a brief description of what that actually means? And
budget last year. So 730 evaluations are ordered by the court. So any judge can order one, and it's really based on either how they see the person who appears, or whether the prosecution or the defense attorney says, we think this individual may not be competent to, stand trial. So incompetency is sort of defined. It's not really defined. Like, you can have somebody who's really pretty ill but still be competent. So competency is defined as, do they understand the charges that are against them, and can they participate in their defense? So I get an order. And there's actually been like a ton this year, more than we've had in the past. So the order orders me to appoint 2 psychiatrists to conduct this evaluation, and then they submit their reports to the court. And the court has a hearing. Sometimes the psychiatrists will agree, and sometimes they'll not. And then the judge has a hearing, and the prosecution, defense attorney, everybody, they talk about this, and then the judge makes an order. And if he makes an order that the person is not competent, then he remands them to a forensic psychiatric hospital. The ones that we've been getting are usually, what happens is they remit them, for 90 days, and then their charges are dismissed at the end. So the costs used to be split 50-50 between the state and the county. So every year we get a letter telling us what the daily rate is. It's like about $1,100 a day now, I think. So we knew this was coming. We lobbied against it. Didn't really matter, and so now it lands in our lap. I'm not sure this Article 9 stuff that Keith is talking about. Like, I have some thinking about it, but I'm going to look at that. I think just to see if you don't so that idea about converting it to an Article 9 because that becomes treatment. I want to research that and look at that. Normally, I wouldn't consider a 730 placement in a forensic hospital to be called treatment. It really ends up becoming medication over objection to sort of stabilize somebody to the point where they can say, I got arrested because I punched this guy, and I can tell my lawyer why I did it. That's really what the standard is for them to be released from the forensic hospital.
Ray, it's Elaine. Before we get off of, I guess we might as well, I had a couple questions about your report too, so we'll start with you. I see your first bullet about working with Dave Thurston hearing and the hearings and evictions. And I was curious, you talk about a mediator and a social services staff. When I did listen to this Rethinking Homelessness webinar a while ago, and this is sort of on the same track. They talked about creating a system for evictions, an eviction continuum to be created, building a governing group together, using the court as the clearinghouse. And they advocated there about the eviction clearinghouse, county, city partners with the court, and doing all of this pre-going to court or at the time of filing. Is that what you're doing pre, or is this right at the court hearing?
So yes and no, I guess. I think that the idea is to try to, because no one can be evicted now. The moratorium is, goes to December 31st, and we don't know if that's going to be extended or not. So the idea was, so people were landlords are filing petitions or complaints or cases, whatever, to sort of make this happen. So it's really, so it's before the eviction can happen. So it's not exactly what you're talking about, but we are a little bit ahead of the game. I think that I'll tell you this, that I think the judge is really interested in heading off or creating a process where we get ahead of it. I mean, I don't know how that would look, but I'll tell you guys this, that this is going to be like a problem of really a profound, the money that we, like the cases that we're involved in, the amount of money that's owed, we have like about $150,000 in solution and homelessness grant, and I think we got like $300,000 on some OTDA money. I'm telling you, some of these cases, the numbers are just, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to make that much of an impact in terms of preventing a whole bunch of people becoming homeless, or not, maybe not homeless necessarily, but at least kicked out of their existing living arrangements. So I think that there's a lot of work to do in this area, and it's never really been something that caught a lot of attention, but it is now. So we're willing to work with anybody who's, so I think that that's something for us to talk about too, like just quite a bit to chew on there.
Yeah, I mean, at the webinar, they basically said people who are at risk have never been at risk of homelessness before, and that this whole clearinghouse or this group you put together, kind of like your FAST team, I think, kind of getting around early enough so that you can potentially make a difference. But yeah, I mean, if the court's willing to work with the department and the city and the county on that, that would be great.
Judge
Trish,
is really good. He's a good man to work with. He thinks the way that you're talking.
Yep. Trish?
Yeah, just a follow up on that. Are you guys or the partners doing anything like to assess vulnerability in advance of landlord filing for eviction? To do kind of like any survey of tenants,
prevention
or prevention. Yeah.
So I think that there's some of the landlords are getting the word. We're waiting, I think, for us, the contracting for the OTDA money, which allows the Cayuga Seneca Action Agent or the Cayuga Action Agent CAP, right, to be able to hire people to do that very thing. That contract hasn't been finalized between CAP and the state, and there's where the staffing becomes available to sort of do that work. So we're still waiting for that to happen. We don't really have the bandwidth or the capacity to do that right now, but that was part of our plan, was that outreach, that sort of bringing people together, finding out what's going on, how can we sort of get ahead of this. So we're hoping to build off of that, but the money hasn't been released yet.
What's that contract period supposed to be for, Ray? Like, when is that money, or is it, when do we expect that to happen?
I don't know if anybody expects, I don't think there's a date where we expect it to happen. I think we thought that it would have already happened.
Right.
The circumstance. I don't remember, Trish. I'd have to go back and look, but I think that money becomes effective like a few months ago, and then I think it goes to the end of 2021, but I'm not sure. It could be the end of 2022, and then there's supposed to be another round after that. So I just have to go back and check, because I just don't recall that.
Okay.
Lastly, Ray, I just wondered your opinion. Sue Dwyer talked about how the setting up the office at the historian's office for seeing DSS people has really been an asset in terms of not having people outside the building. And do you agree that's worked out fairly well for your department as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's been set up, like those guys, the historian folks moved to the back part of that building, and there's a bunch of work that IT and building and grounds did, and
Mhm.
we took over their, I guess, I don't know if it's, you call it like it was when people would walk in the door, like if you guys are familiar with the building. So we have like a couple or three examiners there, we have security there, so when people present to the county office building, right, for DSS services, we have someone down there who we have we have the ability to direct people to, phone calls and stuff like that, but emergencies and people who don't have phones, they're just sent across the street.
Yep.
And they show up there, and it's set up really nice. There's a waiting room that's properly socially distanced. The workers got socially distanced spaces. They've got the plexiglass up. It's working. I mean, it's really working great. I mean, I feel bad for the historians folks because they got disrupted, but there really wasn't any other solutions that were available to us. So it's been nice. It's been really good. And I think, like Ryan said, got less people out in front of the county office building. The traffic's much more manageable.
Last question. I
Madam
kind of
Chair.
go ahead, Tim.
Well, I just want to say that, the taxpayers, I don't want them to be standing in the cold. They should be equal in staying warm whenever they need services at the county,
Absolutely. Chris Petrus, do you have a question about the landlord issues and the money?
Yeah, I appreciate it as I'm not on the committee. Thank you for the time.
No
problem. I guess I'm just trying to wrap my mind around the situation. So with regard to the homeless issue, would this money be channeled to help pay rent? Because I guess what I'm concerned about is landlords being unable to stay afloat, thereby losing their real property, and then subsequently affecting the tax base and community.
Right. I'll just say part of that conference was that they certainly said evictions can happen from foreclosures as well on property, just as much as. So yeah, they're finding a way to work with the landlord to prevent the eviction and give the landlord something in return. That's really the whole win of it. But did you wonder if the money that the department is getting can be used to supplement that? Is that what you're asking, Chris?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that when people were considering this, that because if we indeed want to address the homeless issue and people being displaced, but I want to just have people take into their calculus the effect that if we don't address the landlords, they're taxpayers as well, and a crucial component of our tax base. So I wanted to make sure that was again involved in people's calculus in their making process.
So when we submitted the plans to the state, the money's being used three ways. There's a pile of money that goes for moving chronically homeless folks out of the motels into permanent housing, and that we can subsidize their rent. There's a pile of money that allows us to subsidize, negotiate with landlords, pay back rent, pay whatever damages or stuff like that for people who are living in an apartment or a house that a landlord owns, and use that money to make the landlord either whole or reasonably whole. So there's that, keeps them in that property and helps the landlord recoup some of the money that they might have lost over this particular time. Third pile of money is available for people who aren't eligible for DSS services because of their income, and there's some rules with that too, but these are not people who are eligible for TA or TANF that are also living in rentals to spend some of the money to keep them make the landlord as whole as we can through negotiations, and keep the individual in that particular property. So we tried to cover all of those bases. We were sort of constricted in some ways sometimes by the rules and the regulations, but I think we tried to build in as much flexibility as we could, Chris.
Thanks. I appreciate the clarification.
Yep.
Anything else for Ray?
I have just one more question, if that's okay. or I didn't know if anybody else had a question. But Ray, have you seen any resources out there for homeowners who may be falling behind? I believe there's some federal relief, stimulus relief in place a little bit, but in terms of people that are falling behind on mortgage payments, have you seen anything for that population?
Oh, I mean, I just kind of, because that doesn't really fall to, the stuff that I got to pay attention to so much, right? For the work that I do. But I do know from, I read a lot and try to follow stuff. And I think that there's programs out there, that are probably, they're not administered by departments of social services. So that money probably flows to a different place. And I mean, I would hope that they do the necessary outreach and have ways for people to access that. But yeah, I mean, I know it's out there. I don't know how much it is or what the rules are or all of that, but I think there has been some relief. I think some of that money got clawed back. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that I say that we're not really, that's not in our scope in terms of like what we devote our time to. It's not part of the statutory responsibilities of the department. But I know that maybe Home Site might be involved in that. Like that might be a question for Crystal. I think she could probably answer that and steer you in a way, and probably even some of the city planners with
Sure.
the DBG money and all. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Chairwoman,
Ray, I had, oh, sorry.
this is Heidi Nightingale. Elaine, I just had my hand to say a few things to Ray and his staff based on his report, and also to follow up on the comment to Tricia. Tricia, part of the CARE Act did help people who were homeowners facing problems with their mortgage ability to pay mortgages, and there was online access to the ability to apply for that. So there's things that are happening on a national level, and let's hope that continues. But if we're ready to move on, I think there's some remarkable things to talk about in this report. And I imagine if Ray had done a full year-end report, it would be, pages and pages of stunning work that happened during a very tenuous time. But I think it's significant for us to really put on the record that the Healing Communities has made a national impact in terms of its model and its work. So while Ray has it in the written report, I'd like it, on the record that we acknowledge the work of that team. And I'm looking forward to the Assertive Community Treatment Team, the ACT. We've talked about this, I think, in Judicial and Public Safety Committee meetings, the need for mental health rather than public safety in certain situations. And it looks like we have a remarkable opportunity coming, and I'm going to be interested in following that. And then I also want to congratulate Carla. Battle on her 30 years with DSS. That's a remarkable career, remarkable commitment. And can you imagine, really the culmination of what a career like that means in terms of helping the well-being of individuals all over this county for 3 decades. So thank you for including those in the report, Ray, for us to acknowledge.
Yep, well said, Heidi. Anything else for Ray? All right, thank you.
See you guys.
All right, Ray, take care. We have Brenda and Kathleen. I'll pick. Kathleen?
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Uh-huh.
Good. So yes, I didn't submit a written report, but there's always plenty to say. Our numbers are just exploding of positive cases, and the number of contacts exponentially with that. So today we had 32 positives, yesterday 42 positives. Some of that, there are even more that hit our bucket in the system. They call it the bucket. right? And get transferred out and others. These are the ones that, we're working diligently to try and contact all of them when we receive them. But the plain truth is, in the last few days, we have not been able to contact every positive case the day that we receive it. So we ask people to be patient, and we try to contact them the next day. It's important because it could be a few days time since we received the report, depending where it comes from. Our contacts beginning this week are all going to the virtual call center, to the contact tracers that are contracted by New York State. It's necessary. It's just way too many for us to attend to. And so we need to focus our priorities on the positive cases. And should things become less unwieldy, we will certainly pull back some of the contacts. We are, on occasion doing the contacts ourselves, depending on the circumstance. If it's a positive parent in a household, we're going to enroll their children automatically. So we try to let logic prevail. Our relationship with the schools is good. They're instrumental partners in this process. We had a conversation again today and sent them information. I believe all the school districts within our county plan on performing some testing in-house for their school community, maybe their faculty, staff, and their students. And they can use the Binex cards. They're working under the county lab certificate, and Dr. Joy, our medical director, his order, and we're supplying them with their first week's worth of testing cards. And if our supply is such, we'll try to get them their second week just to keep them going while they now have a means to be able to order directly from the state as well. But we know that might, take a little bit of time to get the order in and get it filled. Speaking of testing, I think that probably EMO was able to speak with some of you, but this week we've had a couple public clinics for asymptomatic, so no symptom testing, incredibly successful. When I don't want to say it surprised me, it astonished me though, that when we opened the clinic, when we made it public for Thursday's clinic, a little bit after 5 o'clock, we expanded it on Wednesday a little after 5 o'clock. And before, just within an hour or two of the day starting, it was filled up completely. That was 240 slots. So kudos to all the partners working. New York State is working with us, and emergency management, hugely helpful. And I want to thank our chairwoman, who's really working closely with the state to try and get us these additional supports right now, and I think it's being quite successful. We're doing some reworking. We had kind of a brain session. We were, with all these numbers, we were just feeling a little underwater, and we had some good conversations with some of our legislators and some HR people, and are trying some different scheduling strategies to try and truly schedule in some days off for our staff, because there's no question some of our staff are burned out. There's no question. But they continue to be diligent, right, and persevere. But it's a lot. So I'm excited about some of these changes that will be in effect during this time of COVID emergency, and I'm hopeful that it will really help sustain our staff. We have been continuing to hire on case investigators / contact tracers. The difference is the case investigator talks to the positive person. The contact tracers talk to the people in quarantine who are contacts of the positive. And it's semantics that's used also within the ComCare computer systems. But every new person we are hiring on is becoming a case investigator. So that will help us and is helping us. We hope to be able to have, assuming our human resources and material resources maintain, to be truly schedule regular clinics. And that's where it's really important to us and beneficial to us that our EMO is really spearheading these efforts, because we're doing our best to push out from our department aspects that we don't need to perform directly ourselves. And with EMO skill sets and partnerships, it's really beneficial.
Are you saying your goal is to have regular scheduled clinics? That's the ultimate goal, that you can kind of put a schedule out? Is that what you're working towards?
That's what we're working toward, but it truly is contingent upon identifying personnel who can maintain that. So in this case right now, this week, we have the support from State Department of Health, but I know that our HR department and EMO department are really looking for EMTs to step forward, because they are licensed people who can certainly perform the asymptomatic Binax testing without question. They can do that and do it well. But there's a process, right? And it's not just doing the testing, it's uploading it into the state laboratory system. And there's some very specific protocols to do that, but we're working with the health screeners. They're assisting us. They're great. They have great attitude, and they're very patient people. There's moving parts, but if we can maintain enough testing supplies and the personnel, we definitely want to have regularly scheduled clinics. So the asymptomatic is really taken off this week. We anticipate another asymptomatic clinic on Saturday and plan to put that schedule out tomorrow for people to sign up. We also have been working very hard and really, Nancy Purdy in particular, to have symptomatic drive-through testing. So because it's and so that, again, that's having the supplies and having the personnel, and a lot of the contracted nurses who might only be able to work a day a week. It's a perfect fit for them because they can perform the testing, and then the hospital as our partner, really helping us either analyze it directly themselves or putting it together to send out to LabCorp for analysis. We're still waiting to hear back from upstate and other places for some symptomatic testing to come and supplement what we're doing in-house.
Heidi, do you have a question for Kathleen?
I do. When Kathleen, thank you so much for your constant work. You look a little weary there. Wish I could reach in and give you a hug. I wondered when you talked about scheduling regular clinics, would you be looking at, for instance, the last series of clinics were daytime clinics? And my thought has been that there's a population, particularly our essential workers who have high contact with other people, teachers, for instance, who aren't part of a system where they're regularly being tested yet anyway. Whether you're looking, when you look at that phrase, regularity of testing, will you look at weekends and evenings? I just mentioned this Saturday an asymptomatic clinic. Wondered if that was part of, on the radar for that population.
It is on the radar. So we know for sure you can't just do Monday through Fridays. Nobody works just Monday through Fridays anymore for the most part. But also, yeah, we understand it. There's got to be some after hours, after typical working hours for people. So that was something that Dale and I were speaking with. And if we think we can schedule that, it's going to give us a better sense of what the demand is with the community, how quickly Saturday goes. So we hope to be able to offer evening hours as well. One of the things I wanted to make mention of in my conversation with the hospital today is how inundated our urgent care and emergency room are, and the hospital has their highest number of people right now who have COVID diagnoses at the hospital. We absolutely want people to seek care where they need to, but if they're only looking for a test, try to go to a testing site. be it the asymptomatic site if you do not have symptoms, or a symptom drive-through site. It's overwhelming, our urgent care centers, all of them. And we really want to make sure that we have the resources available for people who have all sorts of health issues, not just a COVID test. And again, primary care providers, many of them are able to help test as well. And that's always a good source to start with. There's probably other stuff going on that's not COVID, but yeah.
Any other questions for Kathleen? This is just quick. I was just curious. I know you said the priority is to get to those positive tests as soon as possible. Are you finding that you're the first call to these individuals, their provider or whoever did the test has not notified them?
So it should be, their provider should always be the first one to call them. And largely it is. But it's amazing, even with that, just because you know you are positive for COVID, everyone doesn't truly understand what that means, which means stay home. Go to work. You know, the same with quarantine. And I will say, on the whole, people certainly seem to try to do their best, but it is not the restrictions that come, the temporary restrictions that come with being in isolation or quarantine are not always followed as
or welcomed. Yeah, followed or welcomed.
Not typically welcome. No.
Yeah.
But it's important. It's the only way we're gonna mitigate this. Vaccine would be the other way that we want to mitigate this. We have applied for and received our vaccine identification number. There's a number of other entities. We know the hospital has done this. We know our mental health office is looking to do this. I believe many of our FQHCs, our federally qualifying healthcare centers are. And we're anticipating probably some of our pharmacies. We really don't know yet who is approved and precisely when we may get vaccine. But we are anticipating, we're looking toward having a meeting next week to talk with some of our partners regarding that and get a better handle on who will have the ability to distribute vaccine, because that's going to help us with our planning as we identify trying to reach all areas of our county.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay.
I've just one more question,
Sure.
and this may be for Aileen as well as Kathleen, and that is, I keep track of the daily numbers on the phone app for all of the counties, and just interested in things that way statistically. I see our numbers move. Today, for instance, we're well over 8% in terms of the weekly average. What is the state saying to us? We certainly haven't gone into yellow or orange, but and I know it's going to be connected to hospital capacity. And given what you just told us about what Auburn Community Hospital is experiencing, do you think we're going to be able to avoid yellow or orange, or what? I'm not asking you to be a magic ball or a crystal ball, but what are your concerns in that area?
If Aileen's on the call, she might like to speak to what I know she's had a number of conversations. My conversations have been primarily with the schools, and that's one of the reasons the schools, I said, start now. Start your testing now before we get color zoned, because having more testing done is going to, it changes the denominator, right? So that's a good thing. And we'll catch people who are asymptomatic and help stop the spread a little bit. But it's just expanding so very rapidly that while being color zoned would not be anyone's favorite thing, I hope that people will alter their own behaviors, because individuals are the only ones in control of their own behaviors, so that we don't have to go that route. But if we do, hopefully it will help stem the spread.
Kathleen, is that a local decision, or based on the rolling average of the positivity rate, the state comes down and designates? How does that work?
It's more than just our rolling average, and And I guess I'll go back and Aileen can speak to that because I know she's had some very specific conversations to try and get details, and it's a little bit nebulous. Our statistics that we put into ComCare, I would love to be able to say to you, here's where we're at with this, and here's the zip code, and here's this and that. The ComCare system is a standard now across New York State, but it's not simple as far as generating reports, and the state fully acknowledges this. So unfortunately, I can't say, hey, what are the hospitalizations and get them out of ComCare. I can't say, it's a challenge depending where we are at, how many positives we have at any given moment. It should be a simple query, and it's not at this point, unfortunately. The state's working on it. Our the help that we hired with to assist us in instituting this in our county, they're certainly helping to try and streamline this process and set up some reports templates that maybe can pull down some information. But that doesn't speak to truly the question that was being asked. I just felt the need to say that because I know that there's always the question of, oh, where are we at, and what's our we're going to have to change how we're reporting, and that's a conversation I'm having with our public information officers tomorrow to identify the best way that we can do that so that it's not taking an inordinate amount of their time to try and get some details to share to the public, because we want to share it. I think the numbers help people keep themselves in check better.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brenda?
Thanks, Elaine. I don't really have anything necessarily to add, just available for questions.
Anyone have questions for Brenda?
Brenda, since our last meeting, I wonder what the space is looking like at Boyle Center for your office.
So
Any
Lisa,
negotiations?
Lisa Enge had contacted me just before she went on vacation about that space, so we're scheduled to tour next week, and then we'll have more information, hopefully.
Great. I hope that goes well.
Thank you. Thanks. As I'm listening in on the meeting, I could mention that we are getting ready to do another mass distribution, and the BOCES LPNs are actually going to help us package the masks up, and then we're going to distribute them with our home delivered meal drivers into most of the senior apartment buildings in the county that have requested them. So second round of doing some mass distributions with some of the at-risk population.
The last thing I'll say is based on the OFA advisory she had, they've done some great work also on getting the Meals on Wheels volunteers and the drivers. They're able to expand the routes and give hot meals 5 days a week. So it was a really great report at the advisory meeting.
Thanks, Elaine. It's very exciting to be reaching those goals that we had set a while ago.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Madam Chair, I don't think it's been done, but I will move HH1, authorizing the director to sign contracts for various contractors.
Okay, thank you. I thought we had covered that. Nope.
We have?
Yeah.
Maybe we
We've
have.
covered all the resolutions.
We
Okay,
what?
good. I didn't want it to get lost. My bad.
No.
Thanks.
Yep. Yep. The resolutions are done, and unless there's anything further, we can get a motion to adjourn.
Nightingale, move to adjourn.
Okay. All right. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. See ya.
Bye-bye.